Hey Internet, welcome to my first video blog ever! Today I join the ranks of video game reviewers, other video bloggers, evangelicals, trolls, and alternative news sources on the Internet. I pledge to always work to do something a little bit differently from what everybody else is doing on the Internet, and that won't always be possible, but I promise you that my Cyborg Kitten Assassin project is going to be up and running before long. So for now, let's talk guns. So here we are, just moments after the big gun control plan has been unveiled, and everybody in the nation is still mulling it over. And it's been in my thoughts ever since the Aurora shootings in July, and if you'll bear with me, I'd like to share some of them. I originally started out thinking that this video was going to be like a single 10-minute long video, but it's going to work out best that I break it up into 3 different videos because I think there are 3 problems that need addressed, and I don't want to bore you. So there are 3 parts to this conversation. We have blanket federal laws, we have mental health issues, and then there's one third, final, largest, I think, hurdle. And today we're just going to in this video, we're going to talk about the blanket federal regulations. Here we go. First, real quick, look at the chart the Time magazine ran after Aurora. The years that the assault weapon ban was in effect, it didn't really do anything. Shootings weren't any less, and assault weapon shootings weren't any less. Really all that tells me is that if the federal government wants to pass a gun, an assault weapon ban legislation, then that legislation needs to be stiffer than its predecessor. But there's another problem here, and that is that, all the statistics that we can find show us that assault weapon deaths account for less than 1% of all the gun crimes in America. So an assault weapons ban and spending all that time and money and everything and effort getting it passed is going to stop 1% of the gun crime. Ultimately, I think the assault weapons ban is a waste of time. Given the statistics coming out of the UK and Australia, the means has very little to do with the end. People are still going to do what they do, just differently. But the problem still exists, and we still need to do something to be safe inside of our borders. We need fresh ideas and alternatives so that we can hedge the problem into a corner and we can say, that's the problem, we know what it is, and we're doing something about it. Right now it's so difficult to know what the difference between opinion, commentary, and fact is that Americans just ignore it. The issue is a false start because nobody knows what to think about anything because nobody can tell what's true and what's false. Now, I like the idea of background checks for all gun purchases. I think that would help at least, just a little. Perhaps having every weapon test fired for prints before it's ever sold, the moment it's imported into the United States or constructed in the United States, would help law enforcement officials at least prosecute a little more efficiently and effectively. Now, sure, those prints degrade over time, but not every weapon goes through 1,000 rounds before it's used in a crime. Now, imagine this, if that weapon is privately sold, then both parties show up at the sheriff's department. Now, the purchaser would have a background check done on them, and the firearm, if it didn't already have one of these prints done, would be test fired and put into a database, and then whatever fees would be paid, and go from there. Think about it. You gotta go to the ranger station to get a fishing license. You gotta go to the DMV to get a license plate. So what's so wrong with this idea? How's this for a little crazy? Should FOID cards come with a required safety course? Like driver's ed? I'm not sure how much further the federal government should go in regards to states' rights, but let's not forget that the federal government trumps the states' rights every time. But at least in the end that would wrangle up some jobs for folks. Ultimately, I think that with those measures in place, that a federal carry conceal license should be available for qualified individuals. It seems to have helped in places like Texas, and I think that's worth reevaluating. Sure, it's the person, not the gun. But if that person can't know who's packing, then they're just going to go to the gun-free zones, where the odds are ever in their favor. That seems to be the most I have to say about federal legislation. Again, I'm not sure how much further I can go, but tune in for the next video, and we're going to talk about mental health a little bit. We're going to get through this conversation. Thank you.